Okay, I am live in all the places. I got TikTok, I got Instagram, I got Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. And I will also be uploading this to YouTube when I'm done. So, lots of different places. Welcome, welcome. If you are watching live, thank you so much. If you are watching on the replay, thank you so much. Feel free to drop comments, say hello. I know TikTok is never shy about that, but sometimes I get comments from other places, and that is always welcome. So, my name is Hadass. I am a life coach, I'm a well being advocate, I am an unapologetic badass. What that means is that chances are, if we're having a conversation, I'm going to be super kind, but I am not going to take, you know what, from anybody because, oh, thank you. Somebody said I was cute. I love it. Um, and let me see, today is February 5th. So next week is my birthday, and I'm going to be 61 years old. And when you get to be my age, you really do not take, you know what, anymore from people. So that's what that is about. So tonight I wanted to talk about the beginner's mind because that's something that's been kind of on my mind, if you will. I was really thinking about it. I've been listening to all sorts of people like Marianne Williamson, her classic book. Oh, hello, Paul. Yes, we are live. Um, and a classic book, Return to Love, Marianne Williamson. And of course, if you follow me, you've heard me talk about Gabby Bernstein's work and so on. They're both based on a very weird book called A Course in Miracles, which it's kind of interesting because A Course in Miracles is super Christian, and both Gabrielle Bernstein and Marianne Williamson are Jewish, which is kind of funny. And then I was doing some research on the whole concept of beginner's mind, with in particular Zen Buddhist called, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly, Shunryu Suzuki. Everybody's heard the comment, his quote about the beginner's mind. You know, it starts with the quote, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. And that really, really struck me as something that I want to think about and talk about with you guys. I have not yet got my hands on that book. That will happen next week, all being well, and then I'll be able to tell you more about it. But for now, just the concept. Oh, hello. Um, Sorry, I'm not taking guests today on any of my platforms, just so you know. And so I want to talk about the concept of beginner's minds, and the way I kind of got there had to do with listening to, as I said, both Marianne Williamson back in the 80s, and also when, no, actually, probably that one was probably written in the 90s because she talks about the 80s. So I think it's probably in the 90s, long time ago. And Gabby Bernstein as well, uh, talking about the concept of seeing with new eyes. And in that case, it has to do with forgiveness. And it's very interesting that a Zen master would come to the same place, the same conclusion, if you will, um, as this super Christian Course in Miracles, as interpreted by a couple of Jewish women, which like I said, I find that really fascinating. And I have noticed there's a lot of people who are involved in Zen Buddhism oh, thank you, I'm glad you like my hair, with Jewish names, which tells you a lot about the attraction in these concepts to a lot of people. So, what is the idea with whether it's beginner's mind or fresh eyes or seeing as if for the first time? These are all different ways of expressing the same concept. And basically, the concept is you don't want to get stuck in your mind. That's basically what it comes to, because we do get stuck. I don't know about you. I get stuck. Lots of people do. You just get into this rumination, this treadmill, especially if you have any issues with anxiety, or even if you're in a situation which might encourage anxiety, even for completely um, objective reasons. If like any other person watching you would agree, excuse me, that it might be a situation where anxiety is justified. The fact remains is that if we get to the point where we can't sleep or we're constantly ruminating, it's not good. So the question is, what do we do about it? Would you rather watch a tree grow or a knee grow? Okay, I don't. What? That was weird. Um, that was really weird. But I don't get it. But let me go back to what I was talking about. Whenever I have TikTok on, it is always an adventure. Sometimes I no, I'm not going to say it again. Thank you very much. Um, Sometimes I debate whether I should even have TikTok on, but I mean, there's always something going on there. But it is distracting. Anyway, coming back to the beginner's mind, um, it's a way of breaking out of that cycle. And I was actually watching, reading an article on in Psychology Today. What was the name of the person? Kenneth Silvestri. Okay, he's written books and stuff. And basically, he was talking about this as well. And the idea is that if you can stop and breathe, okay, breathing is an underrated activity. It's kind of funny because I mean we all breathe all the time. Like if we stop breathing, we're going to die. But consciously breathing, and my favorite is the box breathing, because with box breathing, it's basically an idea that uh, it's like going around four sides of a box. So say breathing in for say 4 beats, then you hold for 4 beats, or you can make it longer. I like to do four. 2, 3, 4, and then you exhale for 4 beats. 2, 3, 4, and then you hold it again for 4 beats, and repeat. And obviously, I'm talking while I'm doing it, so I'm not doing it for real. But the thing is that if you can do this sort of box breathing, and like I said, the length is up to what you're comfortable with breathing. And what you'll find is that we have two sets of nervous system. There's the sympathetic nervous system, which is good, which sends you into your fight or flight if you're startled, if you're anxious, if there's something going on, if you're stressed, your sympathetic nervous system will kick in. And when you need to calm down, that's when your parasympathetic nervous system comes in, and that is activated by this kind of calm and controlled and deep breathing. So if you find yourself in an anxious situation and you stop and do this breathing, then you have a much better chance of getting a handle on your crazy racing mind. And I don't know about you, but crazy racing mind happens to me on a regular basis. I'm sure it happens to a lot of people who just live in such stressful times. It's really easy to get into that crazy racing mind. And that's when we find ourselves in situations that we're thinking all around it, we're ruminating, we're going in circles, we're looping in our thoughts. And that's interesting comments on TikTok always. And, and, uh, and if you want to break out of that cycle, then one of the, like I said, by breathing, you can calm things down, and then you can seriously, this guy calls it widening the lens. It's another way of looking at it. Like I said, Gabby Bernstein says to view, for instance, a person who's really upsetting you, view them with um, new eyes, fresh eyes, a beginner's mind. Don't like we make so many assumptions and we tell so many stories about people, especially people we don't know, but also people we do know. Like this person is this and that person is that, and we put them in a box and we have this opinion about them. And then if we need to change a situation, if we actually have a relationship with somebody where we need to find some way to actually, you know, move forward, then it can be really, really helpful to take a step back, to breathe, to feel the feelings. That's the other thing. We suppress our feelings and then they just, it's a great way to get sick is to suppress your feelings and to be under constant stress and not deal with it and just suppress everything. It's a great way to get sick. And again, if you follow me, you've seen me talk about Dr. Gabor Mate's books about that. And his book called, I don't have it up here, called When the Body Says No. He's talking about how, stress and constant, going in loops can cause physical diseases. And so it's really the connection between our bodies and our minds are such that it's really, really important to realize that when we have feelings coming up in our bodies, and Dr. Joe Dispenza, I have some questions about some of the things that he does, but he does say some really good things. And one of them is that feelings are the language of the body. Thoughts are the language of the mind. Feelings are the language of the body, and we don't always give them their due, and we don't pay attention to them. And that's why we get sick, especially chronic illnesses. I'm not talking about infections or breaking bones or stuff like that. But chronic illnesses can certainly come as a result of suppressing our feelings. So, one of the things that can happen when you're doing this box breathing is that feelings can come up. And that can be scary because we don't necessarily want to acknowledge that our feelings might be, painful. There might be anger or even rage, grief. People carry a lot of grief, especially from the last few years. So many people have died and been disabled, and there's just so much gaslighting going on in terms of though everybody's pretending that, in some places, is pretending that the pandemic is over, and it's so and disabled people are just being relegated to just stay home. Anyway, I digress. But some comments and some filter to protect the community. Thank you. um, so when you're breathing like this, feelings may come up, and if you are able to just let them, pass through you, um, that can be, sometimes they will then go away, which can be pretty amazing. But regardless, if you can breathe and relax, and then you can try and view whatever situation you're in with a wider lens, with a beginner's mind in that sense, with fresh eyes. Pretend, if you're in a difficult relationship with someone, what would happen if you pretended that you didn't know anything about them, that you've never seen them before? Course in Miracles talks about this, and therefore so do Marianne and Gabby. It talks about seeing the innocence in the other, because that is your own innocence, and that can be like a kind of a mind blowing, a mind blowing kind of way of looking at things, because we live in a very judgmental world. We live in a very judgmental society where everybody has an opinion, and it's usually a negative one. And Gabby Bernstein actually wrote a whole book called Judgment Detox, which she tried to tackle that. She uses tapping and other things, but definitely breathing and meditation, etc. But the fact remains that we find ourselves stuck, and we have to get ourselves out of the stuck position, because we're going to get sick. Like I said, there's a lot of evidence that many chronic illnesses are a direct result of people not dealing with their stress. So I just wanted to come back to the concept of beginner's mind, which I will probably be talking about more in the future once I've actually got the book and can, rather than just reading articles that quote it. But I really wanted to talk about it because I felt that it was really important. It just was something that just kept coming up and coming up. Um, what? Very strange. It's just weird how different things come at you from different directions. And so when a concept comes up to you often enough, then you really need to pay attention to it. So in this case, actually, I was mostly talking about trees this week. It's actually tonight, tomorrow is actually Tu B'Shvat, which is the holiday of the trees. And okay, somebody's putting really, really weird comments on TikTok, so I'm just going to ignore it. It's so I said it's the holiday of the trees this week, tomorrow actually, and talking about trees really brought me into the whole connection with networks, with being stuck in one place and needing to really make connections and find ways to clear all that judgment and all that sludge, if you will, that ends up in our minds. And a great way of doing that, as I said, is breathing. Look, trying to clear your mind, trying to realize how much of what you're judging and is a story that you're telling. Because knowing the heart of someone else, it can be difficult. I mean, on the one hand, we are all connected, and we are all really one, if you will. We're all made in the image of the divine. But on the other hand, in this world, we are all separate, and we can never really know what's going on inside somebody else's head. And we make a lot of assumptions about it, though. So, just to bring this to a conclusion, because I don't like talking more than 20 minutes or so, and I'm definitely done more than that already. I think, I don't know, it's approaching. Um, I just want you, whenever you find yourself in a situation that you're feeling like you're caught in a loop and you're ruminating, just stop and breathe for a bit. Just breathe. The rest is more advanced stuff that you might also want to do in the company of a professional, whether that's a coach or a therapist. But anybody can breathe. Anybody can pay attention to what's going on in their body, what feelings are coming up for them. And that is something that anyone can do. And it's so I am going to be looking more into this beginner's mind thing. So this will not be the last that you hear me talking about this. But I just wanted to bring it to you because it was really, like I said, it was coming to me from all directions, and something was bugging me about it that I really needed to talk about it. So thank you for watching, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay. I would love to know what you think of this. I would, like I said, this is still something that I'm thinking about, so it's gonna need some more work. But if you celebrate Tu B'Shvat, then I will wish you a happy Tu B'Shvat. Where I live, everything's still covered in snow, but in other places, blossoms are coming out on the trees. It's nice. So you have a great evening. Remember, I love you, and I will talk to you again soon. Let's see. Turn off. And now. And broadcast. Now.